Greetings, fellow cultivators. Welcome to Auto Nova. Remember to like and subscribe to support the journey. Today, we're diving into the story of what's the point of cultivating immortality if you don't have money. This book will be released on the shelves this week, specifically at midnight tonight, which is after 0 o'clock on the 8th. At that time, there will be a batch update of 13,000 words. Don't ask why it's being released at this time, that's just how Xiong is. There will be a release event on Kidian. Subscribing to the first VIP chapter will allow you to receive an exclusive avatar frame with a large full score on top. Equip this avatar, and you'll have a place at the top of the Xiong food chain from now on. The event page also includes voting, rewarding, and prize draws for Kidian coins. See the event rules page for specific details. If we achieve 10,000 subscriptions within 24 hours, the operational bonus Kidian coins earned will also be distributed to everyone later through book review activities. Starting Monday, updates will still be at 12 o'clock noon every day, with a guaranteed minimum of 2 chapters of about 6,000 words per day. The exclusive event time for the release of this book is from 0 o'clock on December 8th to 0 o'clock on December 15th. During the 7 days of the above event, I will add more updates according to the number of new monthly tickets received, with one additional update for every 1,000 new monthly tickets. Of course, I will definitely ensure the quality of these additional updates. So, if I can't add them in time, I can only owe them first. I will immediately repay them as soon as I update more chapters. Consider it a loan of your monthly tickets. I know my update volume is definitely not high, after all, this book is really slow to write. Aside from eating, drinking, and relieving myself, I now write as soon as I wake up and sleep as soon as I finish writing. However, deducing the outline and settings takes me a lot of time every day. To incorporate the unconventional thinking of various characters within the world, I have to repeatedly ponder, just to try to write something new and create the unique flavor of this book. So far, I can still confidently say that the new book, What Immortal Can You Cultivate Without Money?, has indeed written some new ideas and is a different kind of novel. In this Xiong world, I still have many interesting places and interesting stories that I want to share with you all. The martial arts competition is about to begin, reaching a climax. I look forward to your talented chapter reviews. Your support is my greatest motivation. Then, let's meet again at White Dragon High School at 0 o'clock tonight. Having defeated a formidable opponent, Bai Zhenzhen looked around, expecting her victory over the top student from Red Pagoda High to be a stunning upset. But upon looking up, she realized that hardly anyone was paying attention to the arena in her corner. Most of the audience was watching Song Hailong, Lim Yulin, and Zhang Yu, who had scored 300 points. Damn it. Bai Zhenzhen thought to herself, a bunch of guys blinded by scores, not bothering to open their eyes and see the real contenders for the championship. However, Bai Zhenzhen believed that as time passed, more and more people would start to notice her achievements. Meanwhile, the other 2 students in Bai Zhenzhen's group had been carefully watching the fight between Bai Zhenzhen and Hu Yurntao from beginning to end. Originally, their goal was to observe Hu Yurntao, since Bai Zhenzhen's performance in the scoring round was too weak. Hu Yurntao was their main opponent to watch. But they didn't expect Hu Yurntao to run to the edge of the arena for some reason, and then, caught off guard, he was tricked off the stage. From the perspective of these 2 students, there was obviously no disappearance of Bai Zhenzhen. Suddenly, the 2 of them thought of Zhang Yu, who had scored 300 points earlier, and used a similar trick to get the yellow urban warrior out of bounds. The 2 couldn't help but think, is this a new tactic developed by Songyang High School? Relying on schemes and tricks to get people out of bounds to achieve victory against the strong with the weak. The students with low scores from other high schools really lack quality. Those with low scores just lack quality. The 2 felt that this generally accepted theorem of the 3 major high schools was verified once again. However, although they were contemptuous in their hearts, they were also on guard, secretly warning themselves not to be careless and capsize in the gutter if they encountered Bai Zhenzhen later. At this moment, Bai Zhenzhen noticed Zhao Tianxing in the audience waving at her and giving her a thumbs up. HMPH, that old Zhao. Bai Zhenzhen waved in the direction of Zhao Tianxing, thinking to herself as expected, these low-scoring students provide enough emotional value. In the audience, Zhao Tianxing gave a thumbs up, while happily saying, Asian saw us. I didn't expect her to win so easily against Hu Yurntao from Red Pagoda High. At first, I was really worried that Hu Yurtao would eat her up. He Daiyu said faintly, just good luck. This tiger demon is a typical example of high score and low ability. He was actually tripped out of the arena. I might even be able to beat him. Although he felt that Bai Zhenjian was struggling when fighting the yellow turban warrior, he Daiyu felt even more heartbroken when he saw her triumphant appearance after defeating Hu Yurtao. Qian Shen said, I feel it's not that simple. Why did that tiger suddenly run to the edge of the arena? At this moment, Zhao Tianxing pointed in the direction of Zhang Yu and said, Zhang Yu is about to play. Zhao Tianxing said with emotion, fortunately, Yuzi and Asian are one in the upper half of the bracket and one was drawn into the lower half, so they won't meet in an internal battle in advance. He Daiyu said gloomily from the side, maybe Zhang Pian did something. He thought to himself that as the son of the school board member of Songyang High School, he could do something about the draw in the practical exam. It would definitely not be a big deal for Zhang Pian, a super rich woman with more than 2.5 billion in savings, to give her subordinates a little convenience. At this moment, Qian Shen said in surprise, Daiyu, is Zhang Yu's opponent your junior high school classmate? He Daiyu's body shook, and he quickly looked towards the arena. When he saw Zhang Yu and Qiu walking onto the arena together, he Daiyu's brows furrowed. Zhang Yu, he Daiyu certainly didn't want Zhang Yu, this poor man who had instantly killed him, to win. But Qiu? He Daiyu didn't care about the performance of this junior high school classmate, who had always looked down on him, but if the other party were to defeat a player from Songyang High School, he would feel very uncomfortable. Damn it. Both the palm and the back of the hand are meat, can these to be eliminated together? On the arena. Qiu first walked to the center of the arena to ensure that he would not be pulled down by the opponent if he was too close to the edge of the arena. During this walking process, Qiu could feel the blood in his body surging wildly, his heart beating violently, and the needle holes on his temples bulging high. All of this was saying one thing: Qiu had taken drugs. Qiu's mind echoed with the words the competition coach had just said. This is the latest combat supplement, which can enhance your muscle strength and physical fitness, and temporarily increase your physical strength to a level of 2.2. Qiu hesitated and said, is this necessary? The competition coach said, although Zhang Yu's data in all aspects is not as good as yours, this person's martial arts are good, and he will study tactics. What's more, do you think students from this kind of school might not take drugs in order to win against us? At this moment, on the arena, feeling the power of the medicine constantly spreading in his body, constantly agitating the muscles, and blood all over his body, Qiu only felt that his body had never felt so good. This new medicine is really strong enough. I don't care about your skills or tactics. Today, I will suppress you with absolute power. Along with the start sound of 3, 2, 1. Qiu pounced on Zhang Yu like a beast, bringing a trail of after images. Boom. With a punch, the whole person exuded a violent aura, like a big truck crashing into Zhang Yu. Expert level skill truck charge punch. Level to boost. In ancient times, martial arts experts created skills by observing flying birds and running beasts, mountains, rivers, sun, and moon. Now, experts from all sides have created skills of this era by observing the traffic, tall buildings, and mansions. It is said that the truck charge punch was created by a martial arts expert who watched trucks on the highway for 3 months, comprehended the artistic conception of truck collisions, and integrated the momentum of heavy trucks weighing dozens or hundreds of tons into the fist technique. As a strength-type body refining player, Qiu chose to practice this truck charge punch in order to perfectly exert his strength advantage. At this moment, the level to truck charge punch was fully displayed by him, and he really seemed to have transformed into a terrifying truck weighing hundreds of tons, pressing the arena to bang and crash towards Zhang Yu's head. Facing my attack, Zhang Yu must only have one choice. Qiu confidently believed that with his strength, Zhang Yu would never be able to contend head-on, and the only option was to dodge. But the truck charge punch has its own follow-up moves to deal with dodging. After he dodges, I will chase him with the truck's sharp turn to add the power of this punch to the high-speed movement of the acute angle, increasing the power of the fist by 50%. The newest novels are first published on 69shu.com. I want to punch you out of the arena. But in the next moment, Qiu was surprised to find that Zhang Yu actually slapped him head-on with a white gang key, wanting to take this punch head-on. Boom. As Chu Qiuhi's fist crashed head-on into the formless cloud key, Zhang Yu felt that the opponent's power was like a large group of wild boars, swarming in, scurrying back and forth in the gang key, trying to tear the gang key apart and blast him away. Tianwu body refining art level 10 effect full concentration state. Everything around instantly entered an extremely slow state. Watching Qiuhi's fist sink into the gang key inch by inch, Zhang Yu incomparably clearly and keenly distinguished the direction of the opponent's incoming fist force, and then stirred the formless cloud key little by little, guiding the opponent's power. Bang! Qiuhi only felt that when his punch touched the formless cloud key, it was like hitting a slippery ball, and his fist was actually guided to the side, directly hitting Zhang Yu's side. Missing. But in the next moment, along with an angry roar, Qiu relied on his physical strength to stop the fist force, and then punched towards Zhang Yu again. Bang! But this punch was bounced away again, instead leaving Qiu wide open, watching Zhang Yu drill into his arms. In the crackling sound, Zhang Yu -1 had already punched Qiuhi's chest, ribs, and abdomen 3 times in a row. Roar! The combat supplement made Qiu feel no pain at all. But instead his blood surged, and with a sudden force of both hands, he was about to hug Zhang Yu. With my strength, I can kill him by grabbing him directly. But Zhang Yu seemed to have sensed his movements in advance and almost dodged his capture at the limit distance. Then Qiu punched again, and then the fist force was unloaded by the opponent again, and then he took 2 more punches in the chest. Damn it. Just 1 punch. With his physique, as long as my truck charge punch crosses the gang key, as long as it hits his flesh once, I will definitely be able to defeat him. It was obvious that he felt that he could win as long as he really hit the opponent once. Qiu roared and continued to burst out a storm of attacks. But he felt that it was he himself who was being suppressed. Zhang Yu was like a wing ball, dancing gracefully under Qiuhi's offensive, either dodging the capture at a limit distance or unloading his fist with the formless cloud key. I've been getting hit by him. Is it that I'm being suppressed? He used pure skill to suppress me, who is stronger in strength, speed, and physical fitness. Qiu felt all this incredulously, and the next moment his abdomen was hit by the formless cloud key again. Although he still didn't feel any pain this time, the original endless physical strength seemed to be interrupted, and the whole person fell into a moment of stiffness. Not good. It seems that there is bleeding in the internal organs. This moment of stiffness was also seized by Zhang Yu, at the first time. Upper abdomen, chest, shoulders, waist. Qiuhi's body was repeatedly hit by Zhang Yu, and every place where his body wanted to exert force was forcibly interrupted under this heavy blow. He felt that at this moment he had become a huge sandbag, allowing Zhang Yu to vent his strength, and finally fell softly to the ground. I lost? Lost to a student from outside the 3 major high schools? At this moment, Qiu only felt that he had no face to see the students of Beilong High School again. He seemed to have seen his campus status plummeting, being ridiculed by teachers and students all over the school, becoming a slave to countless classmates, and he couldn't wait to jump off the 30th floor of Beilong High School. Then he was scared and conscious by this dark future. Zhang Yu wins this battle. Watching Qiu lose to Zhang Yu, Tianshen exclaimed, Zhang Yu won. Chao Tianxing had also been observing the battle, but he couldn't understand it at all, and said in confusion, how did he suddenly win? It felt like Zhang Yu was being suppressed the whole time. Tianshen said thoughtfully, although Zhang Yu was being suppressed the whole time, if you think about it carefully, he actually blocked almost all of Qiuhi's attacks. On the contrary, Qiu relied on his strong physique, almost only attacking and not defending. Tianshen said somewhat uncertainly, and then it seems like Zhang Yu just happened to hit his vital point? He sighed. I heard that the previous college entrance exams were purely arena battles, but there were too many accidental factors in combat. Relying solely on combat couldn't select the most outstanding talents, so it was gradually revised into the current 6-subject 700-point system. He said gloatingly, Qiuhi's loss in this match means he's finished at White Dragon High School. Zhao Tianxing said, it's just 1 battle lost, it's not that exaggerated, right? What are the consequences if you lose to an ordinary high school? Zhao Tianxing immediately frowned. What do students from ordinary high schools know about cultivating immortality? How could I lose to them? He said calmly, what if you did lose? The sky would fall, the shame of Songyang. humiliation for the whole school, going to the rooftop. Just thinking about it made Zhao Tianqing feel gloomy. He laughed when he saw the change in his expression, so you understand, right? But then he saw Zhang Yu walking down from the arena, and he couldn't help but frown again. Chu Qiuhe's loss made him secretly happy, but Zhang Yu's victory also made him feel pained. Meanwhile, in another arena, the unconscious Chu Qiuhe was carried back to the preparation area of White Dragon High School. The competition coach glanced at him, but didn't rush to wake him up and humiliate him. After all, only Chu Qiuhe had returned now, and the other contestants were still competing in the arena. Of course, they had to wait for everyone to return before making Chu Qiuhe kneel in front of all the students and severely shame him. To actually lose to someone from Songyang High School. Just thinking about this made the competition coach secretly annoyed. His upcoming bonuses and performance pay would be deducted, and he might even be laughed at by other teachers and scolded by the school leaders. Just as the competition coach was thinking about these things, another student from White Dragon High School was carried over. The competition coach frowned as he looked at the student on the stretcher. What's wrong with you this time? The student's face was pale, and he stammered, I won against someone from Xian, by Zhenjin from Songyang High School, defeated Hu Yurtao, and then she fought me. I lost to her. As soon as he finished speaking, he felt the surrounding temperature drop by 10 degrees, and he couldn't help but tremble. The competition coach said coldly, how did you lose? The student lowered his head and said that Bai Zhenjun rented a stealth-type spiritual route, which made her appear and disappear in my senses. The competition coach said coldly, her stats are so much lower than yours, even if she caught you off guard, it would be difficult for her to defeat you. A trace of puzzlement flashed in the student's eyes. I don't know either, she suddenly hit my vital point, and I don't know why I fainted. On another stretcher, Chu Qiuhe, who had already woken up, but had been pretending to be unconscious, suddenly breathed a sigh of relief, and thought to himself, it's a good thing I'm not the only one who lost. At this moment, an idea suddenly surged out in Chu Qiuhe's heart. Zhang Yu, you better win a few more matches for me. It's best if you win against a few more people from White Dragon High School. As long as Zhang Yu won enough, Chu Qiuhe felt that his loss wouldn't be so embarrassing. As for the wins and losses of other classmates, his classmates' victories couldn't be written on his Chu Qiuhe's resume, but his classmates' defeats could save his Chu Qiuhe's face. At the same time, the battles on the various arenas were also coming to an end. On the arena, Song Hailong roared wildly, grabbed his opponent, and his terrifying power suddenly erupted, throwing the person out like a ball, smashing into the 10-meter-high ceiling with a bang, stunning everyone. The White Dragon people in the audience seats applauded wildly, and only stopped for a moment when Song Hailong raised his right hand and clenched his fist. On the other arena, Lemulin lightly tapped her finger, and streaks of icy blue mana, like sharp swords, pierced towards her opponent 3 meters away, cutting out streaks of sword marks. No matter how desperately the opponent resisted, he was always blocked by these icy blue sword lights 3 meters away, and not even a drop of blood splashed on his body could get within 3 meters of Lemulin. Watching his opponent eventually faint from excessive blood loss, Lemulin turned around and slowly walked off the arena. The Xian people in the audience seats were silent, not daring to make any noise, but the cheers that the White Dragon people burst out for Song Hailong not far away made Lemulin frown secretly. So noisy. In the blink of an eye, the 8 groups had all determined their winners, and the top 8 of this martial arts competition were completely decided. In addition to Zhang Yu, Bai Zhenjin, Song Hailong, and Lemulin, the top 8 also included Lian Tianji, 2 students from Red Pagoda High School, and another student from White Dragon High School. Zhang Yu looked at the schedule for the top 8. My first match is against Lian Tianji, and then I have to deal with the winner between Song Hailong and the other Red Pagoda student. According to Zhang Yu's own judgment, the Red Pagoda student is likely not Song Hailong's opponent. That is to say, if he wants to compete for the championship, he must first defeat Lian Tianji, and then defeat Song Hailong. But compared to that, Asian's side is more difficult. Zhang Yu looked towards the lower half of the bracket. Bai Zhenjin needed to first defeat the 300-point top seed from Hongta High School, then overcome Lemulin from Xian High School, to meet him in the finals for the championship. There wasn't much time for Zhang Yu to ponder, and in the blink of an eye, the quarterfinals had officially begun. The number of arenas on the entire field was reduced from 8 to 4. Zhang Yu stepped onto the arena and saw that Lian Tianji was already waiting there. Seeing Zhang Yu, Lian Tianji's eyes lit up and he said, "Zhang Yu, I watched the replay of your battle just now. It was a very exciting fight. To be able to suppress opponents who are superior to you in strength, speed, and stamina with skill, your understanding of martial arts has surpassed mine. However, actual combat is never just about competing in one dimension." Saying this, he brought the backpack behind him to the front, and out of respect for you, I will use my full strength to fight you next. As soon as he finished speaking, Lian Tianji took out a bottle of medicine from his backpack and was about to drink it. Zhang Yu was used to seeing his opponent preparing to take medicine. That's just how it is in our Songyang city. This is the full strength of our high school students. But at that moment, the referee walked over and stopped Lian Tianji from drinking the medicine. The newest novels are first published on 69 Shubar. Zhang Yu was surprised. Is doping prohibited in this competition? Is this still kungshu? However, after the referee checked Lian Tianji's backpack and confirmed that all the drugs were compliant, he directly said, "Everything is fine, you can continue." So Lian Tianji first drank a bottle of medicine, then ate a few capsules, and then began to take out a syringe and inject it into his arm. As the medicine entered his body, Lian Tianji's body showed obvious changes. His muscles swelled slightly, blue veins burst out on the surface of his skin, and his breathing became heavier and rougher. Watching the other party constantly inject drugs, eating more and more, Zhang Yu was speechless for a while. Seriously, couldn't you just not respect me and just look down on me? Then Zhang Yu gradually noticed something was wrong. Because Lian Tianji was chanting words while injecting drugs. "I've been taking this combat stimulant for 3 months, and the effect is really good. It can quickly release muscle potential and suppress pain." Zhang Yu looked at another Xian person next to him who was holding a mobile phone and filming Lian Tianji, and couldn't help but say, "Are you guys filming an advertisement?" Lian Tianji, I often share and live stream my daily study and cultivation life online. This time, I'm also recommending some reliable and useful combat potions to my fans. Then he added, "Student Zhang Yu, don't take this lightly. On the long road of immortality, learning to make money and having the ability to make money is a very important thing. As the saying goes, the road to the mountain of books is paved with money, and the sea of learning is navigated with wealth. People who only know how to spend money but don't know how to make money won't go far on the road of cultivation." Zhang Yu looked at the referee next to him and said, "Can we start now?" The referee glanced at him. "You want to start before people finish taking their medicine? Don't you think that's an unfair victory?" Zhang Yu was convinced. Go ahead, do whatever you want." A moment later. "Sorry for the wait." Lian Tianji cupped his hands towards Zhang Yu. "Then let's begin." Along with the referee's countdown of 3, 2, 1, the two shot out at the same time and collided with a bang. Each collision between Lian Tianji's fist and Zhang Yu's Wuxiang cloud ki resounded loudly. Zhang Yu felt that the fist coming from the opponent contained an explosive force. As soon as it touched his ki, it suddenly exploded, causing the Wuxiang cloud ki to constantly dissipate, forcing Zhang Yu to constantly replenish it with mana. This was the expert-level technique that Lian Tianji cultivated. Explosive wave fist. Level 3 propulsion. This fist technique, which was comprehended from the explosion of explosives and the shock wave of airflow, had a special type of mana that was called explosive fist strength. It could directly detonate the mana that was blasted out, not only doubling the power but also making it difficult to defend against and difficult to guide. Lian Tianji thought to himself, Wu Ji Cloud hand is good at using Wuxiang Cloud Ki to borrow strength to strike. But my explosive wave fist is explosive strength. Wuxiang Cloud Ki can't guide it, but will be constantly blasted away. Zhang Yu's strength is not as strong as mine, and his mana is not as strong as mine. He should not be able to resist it for long. In theory, that should have been the case. But Lian Tianji was surprised to find that Zhang Yu not only could block his moves perfectly at the last moment, but also gradually guided his explosive fist strength, using his explosive fist strength to deal with his explosive fist strength. It was Zhang Yu using the undying imprint to guide and move Lian Tianji's mana. He can actually guide my fist strength. This shows that in addition to Wuji Cloud Hand, he is also proficient in another profound martial art that can borrow strength to strike in terms of mana. Thinking of this, Lian Tianji laughed loudly. Zhang Yu, you really didn't disappoint me. At this time, the Xian people under the stage, said Lord Lian Tianji, the advertiser said that if you can't defeat the opponent within 1 minute, they will deduct money. Lian Tianji's face darkened, and he said, I know. Zhang Yu felt that the other party suddenly became serious. The smile on his face disappeared, and even his eyes revealed a trace of killing intent. At the same time, the spiritual energy in the air gradually surged. Zhang Yu's eyes moved. Did this Lian Tianji also bring a combat spirit route to participate in the competition? The road to the mountain of books is paved with money, and the sea of learning is navigated with wealth. These 2 sentences are from a book called My Wife is a White-Bone Spirit. I would like to recommend this book. Listening to Audio Nova. The battle could be taken slowly. Lian Tianji wasn't in a hurry. Although Zhang Yu used powerful techniques to compensate for much of the gap in physical strength between them, Lian Tianji still had enough confidence to defeat his opponent. He was willing to spend a little more time fighting his opponent, confronting and learning Zhang Yu's powerful techniques in actual combat. After all, martial arts competitions weren't real battles. Absorbing nutrients and becoming stronger during the battle was equally important to Lian Tianji. But since the advertiser asked him to quickly defeat his opponent and demonstrate the effectiveness of the combat potion, he couldn't delay any longer. Although learning through combat and earning money through advertising, both could make him stronger. But indeed, the power of money was more important. Sorry, Zhang Yu. Although I wanted to communicate with you a little longer, I can't ignore the advertiser's request. So Lian Tianji directly activated his rented combat spirit route. Accompanied by the commotion of spiritual energy in the air, the spiritual energy began to converge towards his hands. Combat spirit root surge. Spiritual energy would continuously pour into his body and actively participate in mana circulation during his battle, in order to amplify the power of his martial arts. And if it was combined with his bursting wave fist, it would be even more effective. At this moment, he punched Zhang Yu again, and a surge of energy rushed towards him. This strike detonated the spiritual energy around his fist, bringing a shockwave that slammed into Zhang Yu. This approach not only increased the power of the bursting wave fist, but also expanded the attack range of this fist technique several times. This meant that Lian Tianji's fist didn't need to touch Zhang Yu and the formless cloud vigor in Zhang Yu's hands. The explosive shockwave could strike Zhang Yu from a distance. Boom, 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 boom. One punch after another, Lian Tianji at this moment seemed to have transformed into a human-shaped cannon, constantly punching Zhang Yu in front of him. The surging airwaves instantly engulfed Zhang Yu's figure. But just as Lian Tianji thought that this series of attacks was enough to defeat Zhang Yu. To his surprise, Zhang Yu, who had been blasted with blood all over his body, suddenly smashed through the shockwave, bringing layers of white mist with his hands, and slammed towards him fiercely. You're already so badly injured, and you still want to continue fighting. Aren't you afraid of going bankrupt? Although he didn't understand Zhang Yu's choice, Lian Tianji, with the advertisement in mind, was full of fighting spirit, and wouldn't show any mercy in front of the camera. So he saw the 2 sides, without any avoidance, slammed together fiercely. Fist wind and palm shadows devoured each other. In the rumbling explosions, Lian Tianji felt his fist hit Zhang Yu's body again, and Zhang Yu's hands also slammed into his body, again and again with formless cloud vigor. This made Lian Tianji feel even more puzzled. Have you lost the mental strength to maintain your techniques? You're actually choosing to fight me in a flesh-to-flesh brawl, exchanging injuries for injuries. Paw. Paw. Looking at Zhang Yu, whose skin was torn apart and bleeding continuously, under his bursting wade fist, Lian Tianji had a premonition that the other party wouldn't last long. But after 10 seconds the other party was still fighting him. After 20 seconds the other party still showed no sign of stopping. How is this possible? Lian Tianji looked at Zhang Yu, who was obviously covered in blood but still full of energy, while he himself was being hit in more and more places, and his injuries had gradually begun to deform his fist techniques. At this moment, Lian Tianji only felt incredible. What kind of medicine did he take? At the same time, Zhang Yu's body was filled with surging vigor, flowing throughout his body like the Yangtze River. After the formless cloud hand reached level 10, Zhang Yu was able to stimulate formless cloud vigor from all parts of his body. This meant that he could circulate formless cloud vigor to all parts of his body without harming his body at all. So after deciding to hide his level 10 formless cloud hand, he thought of a new tactic, which he called subdermal vigor. He circulated formless cloud vigor to all parts of his body, but hid it under the skin, without erupting it. At this moment, the formless cloud vigor was like a piece of armor worn under his skin, resisting all kinds of damage that penetrated his skin. This allowed Xiong Yu to appear covered in blood, but only injured in the flesh, without truly hurting his bones. On the contrary, when Lian Tianji fought Xiong Yu, he was repeatedly countered by the formless cloud vigor, rebounded by his own strength. Especially the more anxious he was, the harder he tried, the more fierce he became, the more turbulent and surging, the power returned from Xiong Yu. It was just that the painkiller suppressed these feelings, allowing him to exert his full strength all the time. But after the continuous accumulation of injuries, ugh! Lian Tianji suddenly spat out a large mouthful of blood, feeling his body tremble slightly. My strength, speed, and physical ability are clearly above him. In close combat, I can't even beat him. Looking at Xiong Yu, who was covered in blood and obviously more injured than himself, Lian Tianji couldn't understand why the other party hadn't fallen yet. What's the point of winning like this? Can you afford the medical bills? Just then, the Xian people under the stage said, Master Lian Tianji, the advertiser is very dissatisfied. If you can't defeat Xiong Yu in the remaining 30 seconds, they will withdraw the advertisement and cancel all future cooperation. Withdraw the advertisement. Cancel cooperation? Hearing these words, Lian Tianji's eyes instantly surged with fighting spirit, like a startled beast, and a new force immediately diffused from his body. Must. Immediately. Resolve. Xiong Yu. Bursting wave fist. Self-destruct mode. Using the explosion of spiritual energy and mana to promote this fist technique. Using severe arm injuries to pursue the limit of power. At this moment, Lian Tianji erupted his strongest power. His right arm suddenly swelled with the injection of spiritual energy and mana. Bang! With Lian Tianji stomping down, the entire arena shook violently. The next moment, Lian Tianji's right arm was already wrapped in a sky of blood mist, carrying a power beyond the limit, and slammed towards Xiong Yu fiercely. Faced with this menacing punch, Xiong Yu didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. The vigor in his body surged, and the formless cloud hand and undying seal were running at the same time. The blood-red formless cloud vigor also took the initiative to meet Lian Tianji head-on. In the next instant, the two sides punched and palmed, and a violent explosion came from the stage, echoing in the sky above the entire arena, like a string of muffled thunder, also attracting the attention of countless people. The latest novel is first published on Liu Jiu Shibiye. Xiong Yu's body was once again blasted with a blood red. The power pushed him towards the edge of the arena like a frenzy. Bang! 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 But after 4 steps in a row, he still stood firmly in Lian Tianji's disappointed gaze. You even resolved my punch. Your martial arts. Xiong Yu smiled slightly and said, Thank you for the pressure you gave me in this battle. It finally allowed my formless cloud hand to break through the limit and reach level 4. Hearing that Xiong Yu actually broke through in battle, Lian Tianji smiled bitterly and finally sat down on the ground. At this moment, Lian Tianji's right arm was severely injured, and his whole body's injuries also broke out, and he was completely unable to fight anymore. Lian Tianji said, I'm afraid it's more than just the formless cloud hand, right? It's not possible to block me for so long, with just this martial art. Xiong Yu nodded and said the prepared words I also practice the undying seal that guides mana, and a horizontal martial art. Pretending to practice a horizontal martial art to cover up the effect of subdermal vigor, this was Xiong Yu's plan. Lian Tianji nodded knowingly, then looked at Xiong Yu with extremely complicated eyes. With the conditions of Songyang High School, you were able to practice these 3 martial arts in half a year, since the beginning of your first year, and even let you make up for the gap in physical strength. Between me, your martial arts talent makes me feel envious. The rescue team rushed up quickly, put Lian Tianji on a stretcher, and sent him to the side for treatment. Xiong Yu, who was covered in blood, was also carried over, but as soon as he saw the emergency doctor coming, he quickly raised his hand to stop him, and shouted, Wait. You first see how much it costs to treat my injury. How much can the insurance cover? Xiong Yu was really afraid that he would win on the stage, but go bankrupt under the stage and withdraw from the competition. The emergency doctor frowned. You're so injured, and you still have the time to worry about these? At this moment, Zhang Yu, who was covered in blood, was not bleeding in the eyes of the emergency doctor. This is flowing money. So seriously injured. Isn't it worthy of his medical certificate to not treat it for 180,000? The emergency doctor checked while saying such a serious injury, if you don't seize the time to treat it. He suddenly froze. It doesn't seem like there's any major injury. With the protection of subdermal vigor, coupled with the extreme operation of full concentration, Zhang Yu constantly avoided being attacked in the vital parts of his body, constantly preventing some places from being repeatedly hit. This made his injuries far less serious than they looked. It's just some skin trauma. The emergency doctor said unexpectedly. 5,000 for the examination fee, 15,000 for the treatment fee, and 10,000 for the medicine fee, all of which are routine items. The insurance can cover it. Let's start. Hearing this quote, Zhang Yu was shocked. So expensive. The emergency doctor said impatiently, if you don't treat it well, how will you participate in the next competition? Anyway, it's all going through insurance. What are you afraid of? Okay, treat it. Zhang Yu sighed in his heart. Alas, the insurance premium is going to rise. The rest area of Beilong High School. This Lian Tianji has some skills. The physical strength he shows should be 2.3, right? This fist technique is very powerful. Coupled with his combat spirit root, his comprehensive combat strength in Xian High School should be second only to Lim Yulin. The student from Songyang High School is completely suppressed and should be losing. But just a moment later, to the shock of the players in Beilong High School, it turned out that Lian Tianji was lying down on the stage, and Zhang Yu was standing, which greatly exceeded their expectations. Lian Tianji actually lost. This Zhang Yu actually made up so much gap with martial arts and medicine. He must have taken a very powerful combat potion to be able to hold on to the end. In that case, it's not outrageous that Lao Shu lost to this Zhang Yu. On the stretcher, Chu Qiyu, who had been pretending to be dizzy, suddenly moved his eyelids slightly, and said secretly in his heart, come on, Zhang Yu. At this moment, Chu Qiyu was extremely hopeful that Zhang Yu could win, although he knew it was impossible, but he still couldn't help but hope that Zhang Yu would knock Song Hailong off the stage and win the championship directly. He felt that he should be the person who hoped that Zhang Yu would win the most. After all, this was related to his campus reputation and campus status in Beilong High School for the next 2.5 years. After all, losing to a Songyang person? Isn't this a pure waste? But losing to the champion of the martial arts competition? That's indeed too strong for the opponent, not a crime of war. Just as Zhang Yu and Lian Tianji stepped onto the arena. On the other arena, Bai Zhen sat cross-legged, waiting for her opponent, Zhang Wenwu from Red Pagoda High School, a demon-descending student, who was over 2.7 meters tall, and weighed nearly 1 ton. Like Song Hailong and Zhang Yu, he had also earned a score of 300. At this moment, the demon-descendant student was in the Red Pagoda High School's rest area, glaring at Hu Yurntao. Lost? Why did you lose? And to someone from Songyang. Zhong Wenwu slapped Hu Yurntao on the head repeatedly. Hu Yurntao, who was usually so fierce on the arena, was now like a little kitten, squatting obediently in front of him and taking the scolding. However, the tail wagging behind his butt revealed his impatience. Zhang Wenwu said, frustrated, if you don't even pass the group stage, that means you won't even get a ranking, and your resume will be missing a good achievement. Do you know that this one achievement could be the difference between getting rejected at your college interview? If you don't get into a good university, father will strip you of your son status and send you to work in a factory. Stripped of his son status. Work in a factory. Hu Yurntao, who had been obediently listening, couldn't help but stiffen when he heard this. Why do many demons from the protected areas not have fathers? It's because demons who can't study and can only work will be stripped of their son status by their fathers. Do you know what working means? Zhang Wenwu continued to scold. It's hard for demons to find jobs. You'll only be able to work in father's factory, where you will be modified and planted on the assembly line, like those bull demons, horse demons, and monkey demons, eating, drinking, and defecating on the assembly line until you die, spending your whole life paying off breeding loans. Hu Yurntao clenched his fists. When he thought of the factory he had once visited, with the assembly line made of the flesh and blood of great demons, and countless workers integrated with the assembly line, working day and night, he felt a surge of fear when he thought of the various half-step elementary, half-step middle, and half-step high school demon predecessors on those lines. You studied hard for more than 10 years to get into high school. Is your ultimate goal to enter a factory? Xiong Wenwu continued to scold. If you reach the peak of university, with a diploma from a famous school in hand, who can strip you of your son status? Capture you and send you to the factory. Hu Yintao looked ashamed. Big brother, I know I was wrong. In the next competition, I will do my best and will not slack off in the slightest. Xiong Wenwu sighed. I just don't want to see you study hard for so many years, only to end up unable to go to university, and be planted on the assembly line, after graduating from high school, spending the rest of your life there. Father would lose a good son, and I would lose a brother. Your future depends on your own performance. I'll help you get revenge for today's matter first. As he spoke, he turned around and quickly walked towards the arena. Hu Yintao reminded him from behind, Big brother, that little girl has a stealth spirit, route, and can reduce the opponent's perception. You have to be careful. Zhong Wenwu waved his hand, then suddenly sprinted and leapt up. His nearly 1-ton body fell like a small mountain, causing the entire arena to rumble and shake violently. Woman, I never hold back in real combat. If you feel like you're about to die, hurry up and surrender. After saying this, Zhong Wenwu took out 3 syringes and stabbed them into his neck. With a hissing sound, 3 tubes of medicine were instantly pushed into his blood vessels, causing every hair on his body to stand on end, and the muscles on his bear-like face bulged. Just by looking at the opponent's height and weight, Bai Zhenzhen could feel the amazing power contained within. According to Lei Jun's previous judgment, Bai Zhenzhen knew that Zhong Wenwu, this demon descendant student, probably had the highest physical strength among the many high school freshmen present. About 2.5 to 2.6. Huff. Taking a deep breath, Bai Zhenzhen also felt the release of the spirit route within her body. At this moment, she felt as if some kind of restraint had been released from her brain, and countless martial arts moves she had learned and seen surged back and forth in her mind, as if they had come alive. Since entering high school and starting to practice martial arts, she, who originally only knew how to use her spirit route to hide, after coming into contact with martial arts, began to have a better and better understanding of martial arts. Not only did she learn martial arts faster and faster, but she also gradually saw the flaws in various martial arts after actual combat. 3, 2, 1, start. With the referee's whistle, Zhong Wenwu suddenly leapt up and charged down like a cannonball. Unable to take it head-on, she could only retreat first. Bai Zhenzhen quickly retreated, and at the same time, spiritual energy flickered from her fingertips and a sharp sword energy burst out. Expert-level technique piercing sword key level 3 activated. A foot-long sword energy spread out from Bai Zhenzhen's fingertips and stabbed towards Zhong Wenwu, who had just landed. But as hair flew everywhere, Bai Zhenzhen only felt that this sword of hers was like stabbing a steel plate. After splitting the hair and epidermis, it was difficult to continue penetrating into the muscles. He has a body-protecting technique, and the effect of a combat spirit root, plus strong physical strength. Bai Zhenzhen frowned, and her figure disappeared from Zhong Wenwu's eyes in the next moment. But Zhong Wenwu was prepared for this. Without the slightest hesitation, he seemed like a violent beast, his claws bringing up gusts of cold light, attacking the direction where Bai Zhenzhen disappeared, like a storm without stopping. At the same time, Zhong Wenwu sniffed wildly with his nose while attacking, as if he was judging Bai Zhenzhen's position through smell. Bai Zhenzhen widened her eyes and looked at the opponent's movements. With the blessing of the spirit root, she clearly saw the changes in spiritual energy caused by each of his movements and each of his moves. She could even vaguely judge the opponent's subsequent offensive, based on the flow of these spiritual energies in the air. But even with the ability of stealth, Bai Zhenzhen still began to have wounds on her arms, thighs, and abdomen after dodging to the limit, again and again. Sharp claws swept across her skin and muscles, like a hot blade slicing through butter, easily leaving terrifying wounds on her body with flesh turned out. On the contrary, her piercing sword energy could only cut off the opponent's hair each time, leaving some insignificant wounds. The difference in strength and speed is still too great. I will lose in at most 4 or 5 seconds. Even so, Bai Zhenjin felt that her heart was extremely calm at this moment. As the opponent's moves increased, and the surrounding spiritual energy became more and more intense, she saw the opponent's moves and body more and more clearly. At this moment, in her eyes, Zhang Wenwu was like a super furnace, condensing more and more spiritual energy and mana in his body, burning fiercely to push his tyrannical body. In addition, Bai Zhenjin could also see spiritual energy densely covering Zhang Wenwu's epidermis, as if he was wearing spiritual energy as armor. There are no flaws all over his body. No, there are flaws. As several deep, bone-deep claw marks were left on her calf again, Bai Zhenjin gradually saw the opponent's flaws. Flaws in the moves, flaws in the body. Finally, she took a step, like a butterfly dancing in a storm. She stepped through the oncoming coldness, and dodged the sharp edge of death step by step. I don't want to stay on the first floor and work forever. I want to get into the top 10. I want to go further on the immortal path. The newest novel is first published on Liu Shibiye. Bai Zhenjin's fingertip sword key roared, slashing towards the flaw in her eyes. On the audience stand, Qian Shen and the other two were staring at the fight between Zhong Wenwu and Bai Zhenjin. Zhong Wenwu's offensive was too fierce, and his movements were too swift, pressing down on Bai Zhenjin like lightning and thunder. As a result, the three of them could not spare any thought to speak, and even felt a sense of oppression from the other party's aura from a distance. Especially Bai Zhenjin's figure was so small in front of Zhang Wenwu, giving people a feeling of being too weak. Qian Shen thought to himself, too fierce, just being brushed will break the skin and rot the flesh. If Bai Zhenjin is hit head-on, she will probably be seriously injured, even if she doesn't die. She's going to lose. Seeing a piece of blood burst out on Bai Zhenjin's calf, adding another wound, the three couldn't help but sink in their hearts, as if they had already seen Bai Zhenjin's bloody appearance. But in the next moment, they were shocked to see Bai Zhenjin pass through the opponent's sky full of claw shadows, and then a sword key slashed out in reverse. Zhong Wenwu's figure seemed to pause slightly, and then a large piece of blood spurted out from behind him. Zhao Tianxing said in surprise, "She broke through the defense?" He died. She clearly couldn't break Zhong Wenwu's muscles just now. How did it suddenly work again? Qian Shen frowned and thought deeply. Could it be that she hit the opponent's technique flaw? Looking at the blood behind Zhong Wenwu that was spurting more and more violently, gradually like a fountain, Qian Shen was shocked. Did she cut the artery? This amount of bleeding is too terrifying. In the other arena, Lei Jin looked at Zhong Wenwu, whose blood was spurting wildly behind him, and at the part where the opponent was bleeding, his eyes suddenly flashed its hemorrhoids. And external hemorrhoids. That's right, most of the demons were originally crawling on all fours. After they have human form and start learning and practicing, they have to sit for a long time every day, so hemorrhoids must be more severe and larger. Especially the external hemorrhoids have come out of the body, and are not protected by body refining techniques. In addition, Zhang Wenwu was still exercising vigorously just now, and he also took so many potent drugs, his whole body is congested, so this massive bleeding is even more severe. Lei Jin became excited. She can actually find this kind of flaw? It's really not a waste for me to tutor you for so long. But in the next moment, he saw Zhang Wenwu on the arena with red eyes, roaring wildly, like a dying beast. Zhong Wenwu roared in his heart, I want to study. I don't want to die on the assembly line. I want to always be father's son. In the next instant, with Zhang Wenwu's high-speed rotation, blood and claw shadows covered all directions. Not good. Lei Jin's eyes narrowed. This demon has gone crazy. He's attacking completely randomly. Looking at Bai Zhenjin, who was injured in the leg, and covered by Zhang Wenwu's offensive, he knew that it was extremely difficult for Bai Zhenjin, whose movements were restricted by the leg injury, to dodge this kind of chaotic attack, without any rules. When Lei Jin came to the arena, he saw Zhang Wenwu lying on the ground covered in blood. Bai Zhenjin stood in place panting violently, and in addition to the claw marks all over her body, there was nothing under her empty right elbow. Her right arm was torn off by the crazy Zhong Wenwu. Bai Zhenjin wins. Lei Jin quickly picked up the opponent's broken arm, hugged Bai Zhenjin, and sent her to the emergency area. The emergency doctor glanced at it, and couldn't help laughing in his heart, but when he turned his head and looked at the colleague who took over Zhang Wenwu, he couldn't help but feel a trace of envy. massive bleeding, excessive exercise, organ failure plus hemorrhoid surgery, and the physical strength is still so high that Bear Demon can cost at least hundreds of thousands. He sighed and turned his attention back to Bai Zhenjin. But just as he was about to take action, Bai Zhenjin struggled and said, "How much does it cost? Can I get insurance coverage?" The emergency doctor said lightly, examination, basic treatment and arm reattachment will cost you 88,000. The remaining 30,000 items are not covered by insurance and you have to pay for them yourself. Pay for it myself. Bai Zhenjin said angrily, "I bought insurance and you want me to pay 30,000 myself?" The emergency doctor ignored Bai Zhenjin and just urged, "Hurry up if you want to be treated. If the arm necrosis is serious, then I can't treat it. If you send it to the hospital at that time, I'm afraid it will cost at least 300,000. Thank you, Marson, for the 20,000 reward." That's it for today's chapter. Don't forget to like and follow so you won't miss the next update. Thank you all for listening.